What is going on, you dead set legends, and welcome to the Ready Bang, the number one arm wrestling show on the planet. I'm your host, the Aussie Arm Wrestler, and boy, oh boy, what a special guest that we have today. He has got multiple accolades around the world, including being called the world's strongest man. Of course, he hasn't won one of these, the 2019 Melbourne Cup left arm, 95 kilo, third place trophy. That's why he's conquered everything in Strongman, and now he is coming over to arm wrestling, and he is looking to upset the arm wrestling world. Can we all please welcome the one and only Eddie, the Beast Hall. Eddie, mate, thank you so much for joining the show.
Hey, man, how you doing? Thanks for having me.
Mate, absolutely pumped that you're coming over to the arm wrestling world, and we'll get to that in a moment. But of course, not taking the piss, mate, world's strongest man. You've achieved it. What's it actually like when you are crowned world's strongest? Like, literally no one stronger than you, period.
It's a pretty cool feeling when you get handed that trophy and you are the strongest out of 8 billion people. You don't quite realize it at the time. And to be honest, it didn't even sink in until the following year when you don't hand the trophy back, but someone else wins it. And it's not till then you're like, God damn, man, that was a good title to have.
Mate, for 365 days, like, you would watch furniture or moveless and go, hey, you might be strong, but you're not the strongest. You're watching people put groceries in the car and carrying 10, 15 shopping bags at once, and you'd be like, mate, you might be strong, but you're not the strongest. Huge accolade. I can't imagine the euphoric feeling of like you said, 8 billion people, only one's the strongest, and that was you, my man.
Yeah, no, exactly that. It's a massive sense of euphoria. That's exactly probably the best way to describe it.
Oh, it's unreal, and I kind of know what it's like because I'm probably number 2, the strongest I ever.
Yeah.
So
You've tasted it then.
just got a bit of a glimpse, but you are. Look, we could go on for hours and hours and hours. Your accolades and everything speak for itself. Your pop culture icon. You've had Netflix documentaries. Mate, you're punching up 2 people at once. Like, Are you just on your way taking on as many combat sports as you can?
Well, I'm sort of stuck into the MMA at the minute, so I quite like it. I quite like the grappling, the groundwork, and being able to elbow people and just rip them to the ground and do it on the floor as well. So you'll probably see quite a bit more of me in the MMA world before I retire from it all.
Oh, wow. So then, like, look, I don't know if you've studied MMA once, but usually it's a one-on-one contest. 1v1, when you stand across from the cage, you take on one person. I understand it was a freak show league, but what are the thoughts? It's like, hey, Eddie, we wouldn't mind you coming to fight. We got 2 blokes for you at once. You don't even have to pay extra.
Yeah, no, it came about. Two guys from Poland kept giving me shit online. People kept sending me clips of them talking trash. So I just sent them a message like, look, guys, just do us a favor, keep my name out your mouth, or I will fucking sort you out. And then somehow I had a contract under my nose within a week to fight these 2 guys, and I was like, fuck it, I'll knock these 2 out. And a few months later, we were in a ring doing business.
And you killed one of them.
Yeah, pretty much.
What? So it's just like real different when you just, you're lifting Atlas stones and there you're knocking out twins. Like, very, very chalk and cheese. Just why MMA and why boxing? Like, I've got a rich English background. My father was Irish, and they all grew up in, they moved from Ireland to England, grew up in Halifax. I lived a bit in England. So, like, what was the transition from, I'm sick of lifting stuff, now I just want to punch stuff?
Well, I mean, the sort of fight scene came about when Thor called me out online, so I couldn't really say no to that. So I had to fight for in 2022, and then since then I switched over to MMA, suited me a lot better. Just all the groundwork, using my strengths a little bit more. And the transition's been really fun, because when you win the world's strongest man, not that it's a normal thing to do, but when I won it, it was like, what next? And I had always had that urge to get stuck into training to keep focused, I guess. Put all my energy into something, and the fight training just fits that narrative really well. It keeps me fit, keeps the weight off me, and it's healthy. Just um, and
When
it's
you're winning, it's
yeah, and it's good fun. I enjoy fighting.
when you retired from Strongman, did your phone ring flat out when all your friends would like move house?
Oh, mate, you wouldn't believe
Hey Eddie,
that.
you,
I
you
mean,
could have just left.
you joke, but you wouldn't believe the amount of people that would like message and people come and knock on the door. Could you just come give me a hand? It's ridiculous. It is fucking ridiculous.
I
Yeah.
would have played everyone for a full. Yo, Eddie, can you help me? We got these couches need moving. Yeah, not a problem. And I would just play it like this is the heaviest couch ever. Do you sleep on
Yeah.
concrete? And I'd pretend I couldn't. I couldn't lift it, but oh man, like I could go on about it all. Like even in 2012, you're in Melbourne, where I
Mm.
live. You hurt your back there, but we're just quickly, and everyone watching, we will get to the arm wrestling in just a moment. But when Eddie was in my hometown, I need to know what was going on.
So 2012 was my very first international Giants Live. That qualified me for World's Strongest Man. And then actually came back in 2015, and I broke the deadlift world record at the time, 462 kilos. And I did that in Melbourne, and that was in front of Arnold Schwarzenegger. So that was
Yeah.
probably, what's that, 9 years ago, last time I was there.
Wow, that's insane. Were you just based in Melbourne? You didn't venture out anywhere?
No, just Melbourne. And I've got a brother that lives in Terrigal, just above Sydney.
Yep.
So I've been out to visit him a couple of times. But other than that, yeah, I haven't really ventured to Australia that much.
Oh bloody hell! We need to get you back. We need to get you back
Mm.
before. Now, for those that don't know, Eddie almost dabbled in arm wrestling. You were going to be a part of the WAL in 2020. You're going to pull Rob Vision Jr.
Mm.
So has arm wrestling always been sliding in your DMs to get you over?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it's been in my DMs pretty consistently since 2017 when I retired. Um, I've always had the urge, to be honest. It's always something that's interested me. It's a very alpha driven sport, and I like sports like that. So yeah, it's sort of, I guess the timings just fell right, and the opponent's perfect for me. It's he's a beginner as well. So yeah, everything's just fell into place for this to happen, really.
Yeah, oh, it's great. I mean, if you're bloody living under a rock, Eddie Hall, the beast, first person to lift 500 kilos, will be taking on Brian Shaw. Now, before we get into how this was going to happen and how you think you're going to dominate and win, I think, and I said it to you before we press the button, you have a chance to piss off the whole arm wrestling world. So when Brian was dabbling in arm wrestling, he's doing the training, and I think Derek Smith has been hanging out with him. I think Devon's even hung out with him. Everyone's claiming Brian Shaw, 12 months, number one in the world. He's the next to beat Levan. And then Eddie, with that cheeky smile, just goes, well, I just might absolutely stuff everything up.
No, exactly. I would take great satisfaction in stomping all over Brian Shaw's new career, beating him and just pissing all over his bonfire and just putting a stop to it now. Take great satisfaction in that. And I guess there's no pressure on me. I signed the contract 4 or 5 weeks ago. And up to the show, I'll have had 8 weeks of training. And these aren't excuses. This is just the fact that Brian's been training for a year. And I genuinely think I've got a good shot coming in and beating him,
Yeah.
and upset because everyone's just like, oh, Brian Shaw's got this. I'd say 99% of the comments like, Brian's going to whoop your ass. Brian's got this. And I quite like that, because it just puts all the pressure on him, takes all the pressure off me, which I'm quite happy with. I just come in as the underdog, do my bit, and hopefully I whip his ass.
Mate, that makes it even worse. Even worse if you do beat it because it's like, oh yeah, and he just came over for a bit, crushed the super heavyweight division's dreams with
Yeah.
Brian not coming in. So you're very close with Brian. So were you aware that, like, whenever you two spoke, he's like, oh yeah, I'm giving this arm wrestling thing a go. You should. Did he always try and convince you to come in it, or he was just like, this is what I'm doing now, I'm retired?
And then it was Core Sports got in touch. It was like, how would you fancy arm wrestling Brian? And this was like, let's say 4 or 5 weeks ago. And I was like, yeah, fuck it. It's something different. It would be a good laugh. And it's something to test myself. So it's, Brian's been talking about it for over a year, definitely over a year.
Okay.
He even nudged, I think about 6 months ago, we talked about having a match, but nothing ever came to fruition, until now.
Oh, beautiful. I'm glad they got the checkbook out. I'm
Mm.
glad that you're coming over, and I'm waiting. I keep looking at your Facebook every day. I'm waiting for some arm wrestling reaction videos
Ah.
that you do because some of your content's quite funny. It sits in my humour mill.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, no, I need to get some reaction content, actually. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Oh, it'd be brilliant. So now you've known Neil pick up for many years. You and Neil go back, of course, through all the strongman thing. What's he like training you? Is
Neil,
he a good teacher? Does he
it
does he
is a
talk too
good
much? Does he
coach.
bother you, or are you feeling like, oh wow, he's giving me some weapons here?
No, Neil is a great teacher. I think he's super anal. He goes super into depth. He probably does my head in with how much detail he goes into, but it's good in a way. He just overloads me with information and stats and techniques, whatever else. And if I grasp 10% of that, I'm going to do good. So yeah, it's pretty cool working with Neil. And obviously, he's been best in the world at some point in his career 3 times. So yeah, it's good working with Neil. He's a good friend as well. Class him as
Yeah.
a good friend. We rely on each other in that aspect. And yeah, I think he's super excited. I think he's more excited about this than I am. I think he really wants me to win this.
I think a lot of the arm wrestling world are very excited. Like, I think probably more excited than you because, you've done the 2-on-1. You and Thor had a boxing match. I'm sure you'll probably double in slap fighting, down the road. You seem like a bloke that will try and give a few things a go. I know you've attended tournaments, but I just think for us as a sport, we're so minuscule on the map. So with someone of your pop icon culture, your strength culture coming over, as well as Brian, I think we're all super excited that you get a headline, a huge event like King of the Table.
No, I'm excited too. I mean, I am genuinely looking forward to it. It's going to be a good show.
So then the training, how, like, I'm sure everyone want to know, are we training once a week, twice a week? Are you doing gyms? Has Neil given you, like, arm wrestling specific plans, or are you just like, guys, I'm the beast. I'm doing it my way. Everyone
No,
bugger off.
I wish I could do that. No, I'm doing like daily training and obviously having days off. And then Neil's coming to me at least once a week. Um,
Mm.
so we're trying to get twice a week if we can, but we're just so busy. So, but
Yep.
we're hitting good table time at least once a week.
Okay, yeah, and a lot of the elites definitely only recommend one table time a week, so that's for
Right?
sure.
Okay.
Has any other high level arm wrestlers slid in your DMs wanting to grip up and do a training session with you?
Yeah. I mean, gee, I don't check my DMs. I get that many. But I'm
Oh,
sure there
well,
has. Um, I'm leaving that to Neil. And if Neil
okay.
thinks I should be arm wrestling someone, Neil's the one that will reach out and be like, "Hey, would you mind, hooking up with Eddie and doing X, Y, and Z?" So I think it's best. I'm just leaving everything on that side of the table to Neil. I
Yeah.
don't know who's good, who's bad. what's going to be best for me to train with. So just leaving it all in Neil's hands.
Oh, I think one of my favourite things is I've been watching a bit of the clips and a bit of your training, and you keep whooping James Statham. So that is lovely. I love
Yeah,
James Statham. He's a great guy.
yeah, no, he's great. Yeah, he's strong as well. You know, it's quite
Yeah.
surprising. And again, it's eye opening. It's eye opening because I before this training started, I always felt arm wrestling was just side motion, you know, just that. But it's so far, it's so like a million miles away. It's anything but that, you know. And that's been really eye opening me to sort of learn to use your angles, use your bones, use your levers, and just completely get away this mindset of side motion.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So then, if all comes to fruition, and we'll talk a bit more about the match, but at the end, they sit there and they go, and the winner is Eddie Hall. Is that kind of like one and done, or will you start pointing out other, Thor, Big Loz, or
Mm.
even, arm wrestle Travis Bajan, so he stops calling himself the Beast? Is there any sort of future stepping for it, or are you just going to have one match at a time?
One match at a time, I think. I want to see how this goes with Brian. Um, Again, I've only had 8 weeks to sort of train for it, but if I beat him or get close to beating him, then I think there's, in my mind, there's going to be potential to carry on then, and that's when I'll get stuck into it. Give it the time it deserves because you've got to give it the respect it deserves. To be any kind of a decent arm wrestler, you have to be in it for 2+ years, in my opinion, to train all those ligaments and tendons and the angles and the strengths, get all that perfect. So, it's something I'd like to take seriously and build up over time.
Yeah, right. What will you be weighing in at on match day?
Well, I'm currently sitting like I always hover around 160 kilos. So it's like 350 pounds, something
Oh,
like that.
I'm a kilos guy. I'm a kilos guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're kilos here in Australia. 160.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, look, I'm just a big guy, I just hold muscle very well. So yeah, it'll be around that, I would imagine.
So then, what will like if you're 160? Shit, I didn't think you were going to be that big. So if you're 160, what's Brian coming in at?
I think Brian's sitting around, well, he's definitely under 400 pounds. So I think he's going to come in about 180. I think that's like his happy weight, just dropping down from strongman, just being fit, being nimble, being strong. So there's going to be 20 kilo difference between us.
Being nimble at 180 kilos.
Hey, you'll be surprised.
Oh,
You,
I can imagine. Like,
yeah.
holy shit. So, mate, it is happening. How are you going to beat him? It's December 14th. Mate, everyone, the pay per view link is in the description. You've got to get it. This is going to be brilliant. Mate, what's the plan? 6 rounds? You going to
Well,
toy with him? You going to go inside? You going to go outside?
well, I think of all the sort of angles you can approach this, I think he's going to have me in technique just because he's got, a year's experience of doing this. But where I know I've got him is the actual brute strength, like benching, shoulder pressing, tricep strength, bicep strength. The only place he has got me is grip strength. But if you're clever, you can use that against him. So I just think, just pulling him towards me, getting my tricep in as quick as I can. I think my tricep power is just going to be too much for him.
Ooh, I like this one, guys. Let me
Mm.
know in the comments, how do you think Eddie will be taking on Brian Shaw, especially with the short amount of training? Okay, I think I'm down. I think I'm down with that. Yeah, makes sense now. I'm just going back to one of your latest videos with Neil. Um, yeah, the tricep power. Okay, I love it, mate. I love it,
Mm.
mate. It's going to be huge. I can't believe it's going to be huge. I'll be very keen to see you standing next to Levan. Are you aware of the big stars of our sport, like our Levans and our Devons and whatnot?
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, I know Levon, Nilla, Devon. Yeah, I follow it in that aspect. I'll watch the super matches. But I'm just not. I've not had the time to sort of get into the sport
No.
and delve into all the amateurs and the under pros and everything. So, I don't want to plead ignorant here, but I'm just so busy.
Yeah.
I'm just listening to Neil. That's all I need to do right now is listen to Neil and just be focused on that.
See, I reckon that could almost work into your favour because then when Larry Wheels came into the sport, he had, and you can do it as well. You just click your fingers, but he had everyone at his beck and call. So everyone came over. Michael Todd, Devin Larratt, Levan
Mm,
Sagnishvili, Coach Ray. Everyone came and trained with Larry, and I remember him telling me that it was information overload because A would say this, B would say that, C would say
yeah.
that, and it would all do it. So I kind of think this one way, and Neil Pickup's a pretty good person to have on your team. Yeah, that's not a bad person to have in your corner.
Yeah. No, and exactly that. I think you're completely right. You can get overloaded with information, but I'd rather just get overloaded with information from one person,
Yeah.
and just stick to a strategy and just go for it. I, I think there is scope for me to collab and wrestle other people, which Neil is going to bring in. But in terms of technique and what I'm going to be doing game plan, it's Neil's taking charge of that.
Now he's been all polite and everything on camera, and Neil's getting excited. But does he crack the whip when the cameras are off? Does he start just slapping you across the face, telling you you're doing it all wrong?
He doesn't need to. I'm a very good listener, very good learner. Yeah, me and Neil are good friends. So,
Yeah,
you know, um, and I guess just being who I am and all the sports I've done in the past, I'm just so eager to be the best at everything that I put my mind to. And then straight away, if he says to do something, a little twist here or twist that, I'm doing it. I'm not,
yeah,
I'm not doing it. So I'm an easy client for Neil. I'll say that.
yeah. how how's the ego going? Because you spoke about Alpha Sports. I mean, we all know first man to
Mm.
deadlift 500 kilos, world's strongest man, and now you're coming into a new sport and you're not the top dog yet.
Mm.
Like, how's that for the ego for someone that's achieved what you've achieved?
You've got to drop all your ego when you come into any new sport. I mean, I did it with the fighting, the MMA game. I started doing the MMA, and I think like my third or fourth week into training, I sparred with some guy, and he kicked me across the face, broke my nose, split my eyebrow, and most people would lose their shit and go nuts. So I'm just like, hey, it's taught me a lesson. It's taught me to keep my hand up. You just got to let the ego go. You're there to learn, and it's exactly the same in the arm wrestling. There's going to be guys that are going to come in. They're going to hand me my arse. They're going to pin me as fast as they can, as hard as they can, and you just got to take it. Because that's a learning curve. Because that's the real world. No one's going to come in and pussyfoot around you and, all right, we're going to ease into this. We're going to give you that advantage to take this advantage. That's not how it works, is it? Sometimes you need to have that ego smash back it down your throat and just take it like a man and step into things, which is what I'm doing.
Mate, this is just music to my ears. Oh, it's just nice talking to a man in in a sort of society that we're having at the moment. So I'm
Yeah.
absolutely loving it. So it's just nice, I'm getting kicked in the face and things like that. And you got to learn and get on with it. So it's brilliant. So I've got a couple of things. I mean, shit, I could just talk. I could talk all day, but I've got a fair understanding of how busy you are. So first thing I want to know is would you rather, Eddie? Would you rather?
Okay.
So would you rather beat Travis Bajan in an arm wrestling match and he's not allowed to use the term beast at all?
Okay.
So there's option one.
Yeah.
Would you rather challenge Thor and win in a super match? Or the third option, have another Netflix documentary about you, but it's about you beating Brian Shaw.
Ooh. I mean, the Netflix sounds the best. It does. Yeah, man. That because exposure's money, man. I think that's the best one. Yeah, by a mile. And obviously a whole film about me beating Brian Shaw would just be oh something for him to remember. So, every day I would just wake up and just send him the link to this video. Like, just remember this, Brian. You know, yeah, definitely the Brian Shaw one.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. What was, just quickly touching on that, what's it like to have a film crew with you basically 24/7, filming your life, the personal bits, because what the documentary came across is you're a very big family man and
Mm.
love your kids and everything like that. So now I have two little girls myself, and I'm like, man, 24 hours a day, cameras around my family. Like, was it intense or was it fine? How was the filming of your doco?
That documentary was actually pretty relaxed. I think it was filmed in 2014 and released in 2015, so 2 years before I won the World's Strongest Man. And things were tense. I was working full time at the time as well. I was a full time mechanic. I was working the security at night. It was just nice because even though the filming was stressful and it took up a lot of my time, I knew it was going to showcase the struggles of what men go through to provide for the family. And that's what got me through it. Sometimes you got to push yourself that little bit to get that reward. And the documentary was very rewarding for myself. It's just one of those things really propelled my career, and it showcased strongman. I think I genuinely believe that documentary on Netflix was one of the most driving factors as to why strongman's so popular today. You know, it
Yeah,
it
right.
it just did. Everyone I spoke to, everyone I bumped into on the street had seen it. Grannies had seen it. Little kids had seen it. And it was
Weird
on
Australian
Netflix.
blokes have seen it.
Yeah, it was on Netflix worldwide, and we got a report from Netflix. They never give you official figures, but it was watched over 100 million times by separate accounts.
Wow.
So that's one of the most powerful. That's one of the most watched videos I know of in the strength community.
Wow. So then, with your with your expertise and everything, like Strongman's exciting to watch. I remember even being a young fella, it would be on at like 2 in the morning. World's Strongest Man, Bill Kazmaier and whatnot. So oh my god, holy shit! Look at the things that they're lifting. So even as a young fella, I quite enjoyed it. So then, what's the why is Strongman so mainstream? Netflix documentaries and everything like that.
Mm.
What's the X factor that arm wrestling is missing to take it to that next level? Where we have
I
our
think,
documentaries and hundreds of millions.
yeah, I think it's the sponsors. You got to look at it from a sponsor perspective. Obviously things go on in these sports that are frowned upon, and I think that's a big restrictor. If I'm being honest, as why it isn't
What?
so majorly mainstream.
What? Like what, Eddie? What are these things?
Performance enhancing drugs. You don't have to say it. Um, well, I genuinely believe that's one of the main constrictors is why these
Yeah.
sports don't get so big. It's because you take that away, and then you've got the big companies like Nike and whatever getting behind it, and Hugo Boss and whatever. And there, when the prize money gets big, that's when the amateur scene gets big, and it just has this massive knock-on effect. So I think that's one of the reasons why CrossFit's done so well because the prize money's been so big, which makes the amateur prize money big, which it just makes it so much more attractive to get into and more appealing. And I believe that's one of the main factors. If I'm being brutally honest.
Yeah, I can't imagine you shooting any other way. So I appreciate that. In your short time in arm wrestling, what's been the one thing that you've enjoyed, and what's the one thing that you've absolutely dog shit hated?
What in arm wrestling?
Yeah, in your short time so far.
I mean, I've hated the aches and pains, those little Jesus, like the little tendons and the little ligaments that strain in your elbows, and that has been horrendous. I've been sitting with ice packs on my arms and all sorts. But the enjoyment side is just learning a new sport. I think it's just fun. Learning the tips, the tricks, the nukes, the crannies. I mean, it's just fun. It's just fun to learn.
Yeah, beautiful. Right, before we wrap up, mate, I've got some quick fire questions for you. No thinking. You've just got to
Okay.
give us your favourite. Here we go. Do you prefer the deadlift or Atlas Stone?
Deadlift.
EastEnders or Coronation Street?
Oh, fucking Coronation Street. Never watched either.
Oh, really? Which famous YouTuber gives you the shits the most?
The giggles.
The giggles.
Is that what you mean? The shits?
Oh, pisses you off the most.
Oh, pisses me off the most. Oh, that's a tough one to answer, man. You can't do that to me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all right. I thought you might have accidentally say a name. Do you ever Google yourself and just see what?
I have done, yeah.
Yeah, just see what
you
comes up?
You have to, man. You have to make sure that things aren't being said about you. And honestly, like when you get to this sort of stage, you have to make sure you have to stamp out false rumors and stuff. You have to keep an eye on that.
Wow, jeez, I can't imagine the amount of lies that you've seen. What's the a random one just popped in? What's the weirdest thing you've read about yourself on the internet?
Oh, I mean, I've read about myself a number of times that I've had heart attacks, I've had strokes, I've had all sorts of crap. And it's just jealous. It's just like mongery fans or whatever, haters, whatever you want to call them. And they just make shit up. And that's one of the most frustrating things when people say that, especially when you got a family, you know, people are saying you're in hospital. And so, yeah, there's stuff like that's just fucking stupid.
Yeah, it's starting to creep in the arm wrestling world. That little bit of toxicity.
Yeah,
it's really creeping in, which I gets frustrating. Marmite or Vegemite?
Marmite.
Get off my show. Like
Marmite.
You are so lucky that you are tens of thousands of kilometers away. Oh, if I was there in December, Eddie. Oh. And last one, mate, before we wrap up. What is 12,000 calories a day like?
It's it's hard. That's probably the best answer. It's a hard day. You know, it's like every living, waking moment, you've got to have something in your hand, whether it be a drink, a fruit juice, milk, a Snickers, a steak, bowl of rice. You've got to be constantly shoveling food in. It's hard, man.
Like, I get it like Christmas Day. I might get close to that. I'm enjoying it, but you were doing that daily.
Yeah. It's a full. The food is a full-time job. You know. I people always, the amount of times I've heard or seen people comment, why don't you try getting a proper job? And I'm like, fucking hell! Like if you stepped in my shoes for one day whilst I was training for Strongman, like just cooking the food is a full-time job. Eating it is a full-time job. You know, I always say when you're a professional strongman, I think you've got the sort of the hours you put in. It's probably the equivalent of like 2 or 3 full-time jobs. It's stupid to be the best in the world. You have to put some time in.
Oh yeah, I could imagine you setting your alarm at 3 a.m. to eat food or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah, no, you do. You have to.
Wow. Damn. Oh, I can't even fathom. And have you got a final message for Brian? So then we can use that when he comes on the show.
I think, Brian, it'd just be really great if just for once in your life you would open your eyes a little bit more so you don't look like a Chinaman. That'd be great. Because he's just that fat. It closes his eyes like for him. And just come in with like normal looking eyes. That'd be great.
There it is, guys. The man, Eddie the Beast Hall, December 14th. He is coming to the arm wrestling world. So let's just keep him because he's an absolute character. And of course, with the millions and millions and millions, there's no point saying subscribe and follow him because you're all doing it. And we can't wait for it. Pay-per-view link is in the description. Eddie, it was an absolute pleasure. And thanks for joining the show.
Thank you, man. Take care, buddy.